Hello and welcome. It's Tuesday, the 23rd of June, and I'm excited for you to join me on my geography adventures. And where are we off to today? We're off to South Africa. Welcome. So welcome to Instagram. We've got Lily and her family here. We've got Martha. We've got Lisa. We've got Hayden. We've got Anna joining us. And again, I got all the comments coming, but thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited today's class because we're going... we're traveling about 6,000 miles away. So make sure you've packed a lot of different types of clothes. Lots of different types of clothes. Okay, so let me tell you what the session is about today. Let's have a look. So before that, quickly the timetable. So tomorrow, my usual football class or class quiz. And on Thursday, just a reminder that actually my history class is at 11:15. Because I'm doing something for BBC Bite Size. If anyone's got students or kids aged 12, 13, 14, I'm doing an Instagram live with BBC Bite Size on Thursday at 10:30. So the history class will be 11:15. So don't turn up and go, where's Mr Seagull gone? It's at 11:15 on Thursday. And then our family quiz on Saturday as usual. So obviously, I love to share the homework that people have been doing because it's brilliant. It's always great to see what you contribute. So we had... this week we had Karina, welcome. Karina doing the dance, Oh Happy Day from the 1960s. Thank you so much. Then we had Oscar drawing a picture of three influential figures. There's Gandhi, Luther King and Rosa Parks. Thank you, Oscar. And then we had Lisa and Hayden. Lisa drawing, the mum drawing a great picture of Martin Luther King, and Hayden writing some beautiful words. So thank you so much because the homework shows that you're coming to my lesson, taking something away and bringing it back. And again, if anyone else wants to join in, please send in your homework. Now, I'm trying to get the Facebook comments up. Sometimes I struggle. Let me just try again. So I've got the YouTube, I've got my Instagram. Hello, Goran, one of my friends from the maths world, joining me. So let me have a look at the itinerary for today. So you want to see where exactly are we heading to? Where exactly are we heading to? Let's have a look. So, firstly, we're going to head to one of the capitals, Cape Town. There are three capitals in South Africa that we'll find out. Then we're going to look at the sports madness of the country because they absolutely love sport in this country. Then it's the dance time. It's dance. Hello, Thomas and Alice. The dance is going to be the Vosho. The Vosho dance. And it's a lot of squatting and kicking. So if you've not been doing Joe Wicks, this is going to be a bit tricky, but a lot of squatting and kicking. Then... instead of our numbers, usually we learn to count in a particular language. Hold on. Cape Town. Let me try and... capitals in South Africa that we'll find out. So usually we do counting 1 to 5. Today actually we're going to be looking at some of the languages in South Africa and having a go at the South African national anthem. And then finally we'll head off on safari. And we'll find out what animals we encounter there. And then the usual, I say your homework task, quiz, have you been paying attention, and thoughts of Mr. Seagull. I can now finally see Facebook. Hello to Eddie and Ola. Hello to Francesca. Hello to the adventurous class in Kingsware Primary School. Hello Mayuri. Hello Yuvraj as well. Thank you all for joining. Okay, so just an interesting thing about the flag. So if you look at the South African flag, often South Africa is known as the Rainbow Nation. Like the rainbow of colours. And a man called Archbishop Desmond Tutu in 1994. He came up with the name, with Nelson Mandela, the president, later adopted, but the Rainbow Nation. And if you look at the flag, it's got red, white and blue. Can you see that? The red, then the white and the blue. And they represent the Boers. The Boers were the white settlers in South Africa. So the red, white and blue. The Boers. And then we have the other three colours. We have the green, black and gold. And they're from the African National Congress. So essentially this new flag was meant to represent a coming together of people to form a rainbow nation. And if you look at the black represents the black people in South Africa. The green represents the colour of the land, the green fields. And then the gold, almost yellowy, represents the natural resources, the wealth of the country. Thank you, Sue, for joining in. And Mayuri is saying, can I do East Africa, Tanzania? Yeah, at some stage we'll look at Tanzania and Kenya on our journeys. Okay, so you know what we usually do? We're gonna head off on our flight, but we're gonna have to look into some facts. We're gonna head off on our flight So are you ready for the flight? We're going to head off. I've got my bag here. I've got my passport. I've got my sunglasses. I hope you've all got your tickets because I can't be paying for your flights everywhere. I paid for you to go to Russia. I paid for you to go to Peru. Come on. Mr. Seagull's not made of money, but I'm going to let you in this flight. So, if you look at South Africa on the map. So if you look there, so there's the UK. And again, I'm in London. It's down south of Africa, right in South Africa. And actually, it's about 6,000 miles. 6,000 miles. And if we were able to take a straight flight without any stopovers, it would take us about 12 hours. So it's quite a long flight. You could watch quite a few episodes of Monkman and the Seagull on that journey there. So if you look at South Africa's map, you can see it on the screen. And paying attention, this might come up in the quiz. If you look, there's one country. Can you see there's a little bit white inside? There's a country called Lesotho, and I'll write that down there. Lesotho or Lesotho, I'm not sure the pronunciation. Lesotho. Lesotho, Lesotho. And this is called an enclave, And this is where a country is completely inside another country. So you can see there, so that means if you're in Lesotho and you want to go out, you have to travel out into South Africa. So this is called an enclave. It's an enclave of South Africa. But the key thing is you know it's Lesotho, so it's completely inside South Africa. And the country itself, South Africa, the population is 58 million. 58 million. Which is a bit less than the UK, because we're about 68 million. But the area, it's huge. It's about 1.2 million square kilometers, if I can do that. 1.2 million. And you know the UK is about 240,000. So it's about five times. It's about five times the size of the UK. So it's a huge, huge country. And if people ask me, Mr. Seagull, what's the capital of South Africa? It's not as easy. You know, like if you said, what's the capital of the UK? We'd say London. Easy question. What's the capital of France? Paris. What's the capital of, what other countries have we done recently? Russia. You'd all tell me Moscow. But with South Africa, there are 3 different capitals. And you're thinking, oh God, Mr. Seagull, you're going to start confusing me. But there are 3 different capitals. I'll tell you what the 3 capitals are. The first one is the one that we'll visit today, Cape Town. Cape Town. And Cape Town is known as the judicial capital. And that's where the judges are there. The judges. And then the second one is Bloemfontein. This is quite a long name. Bloemfontein. If I can spell this correctly, Bloemfontein. And this is the legislative. And what legislative means, where they pass the laws. The government passed the laws. And then the final one is Pretoria. It's the administrative, where they run the country, essentially. So there are 3 different capitals. Cape Town, Bloemfontein, and Pretoria. But actually, they're not even the biggest cities. Johannesburg, we'll look at later, is the biggest city. Someone on YouTube, I think Martha's saying that South Africa is great for surfing. It is. And Cape Town is very good for surfing that we see. Okay. Other things that we might need to be aware of for our journey there is that it has lots of languages. There are 11 different languages. And the main ones are Zulu, there's Afrikaans, there's Xhosa, there's English. And what we see later in the national anthem combines a few of these together. So, when we're studying South Africa, it is important to be aware of the context of the country. So, we will do another lesson looking at Nelson Mandela and the civil rights there. But for today's class, it's more about the geography, but it's still good to be aware. So, from 1948 to 1994, South Africa operated under what was called apartheid. And essentially separation of white and other black and what they used to call coloured peoples, and it's not the term they use now, but it was a separation. So South Africa from 1948 to 1994. And again, when they opened up the country and tried to unify it, that's when we saw the new flag come through, the new national anthem, Nelson Mandela as president. But it's important that we're aware of that context. Okay, are you ready for the flight? Come on, you ready? Okay, you ready for you got some snacks, 12 hours. I'm going to make sure you get a return flight, okay? 12-hour flight, here we go. Here we are in South Africa, and actually we're in Cape Town. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. That was a long flight. It was a long flight. I'm feeling quite tired. But let's tell you about this place, Cape Town. So Cape Town, I think, is one of the coolest cities in the world. And do you know what? It's a very young place. I think half of the population are under the age of 25. So it's a very, very young place. So remember what I said to Cape Town? Cape Town is the judicial capital. Judicial means, I like that word, judicial. It looks a bit like the word judge. It's where the judges will sit in Cape Town. And if you notice, in Cape Town, it's really beautiful, isn't it? It's right on the edge of South Africa, on the coast. And actually, it was founded in 1652. 1652. So that's quite a while back. 1652. And the reason it was founded was it was seen as like a shipping port between the east and the west. So it was initially a shipping port. And if you look there, can you see the top picture? There's a flat thing. It's called Table Mountain. And this actually rose, people think, from the sea millions of years ago. And it's called Table Mountain. And actually, it's a very romantic spot. Apparently, 2 couples get married or engaged there every month. So if you want to go and see a wedding and gate crash it, just go climb to the top of Table Mountain, and there you go. You can go to a wedding for free. There you go. So Table Mountain is the place for weddings. So Cape Town, you can see there, really beautiful. Lots of scenery there. Table Mountain as well. Actually is renowned in world science history. So in 1967, I've got the date there, a doctor called Christian Barnard, he performed the world's first heart transplant. So someone had a heart and they transplanted to someone else's who needed it. Unfortunately, I think the patient died 11 days later, but it was the first time in human history we had tried moving a heart from one person into someone else. So Cape Town actually has an important sort of place in scientific history. Charlene's asking, who is it founded by? So a man called Jan van Riebeck. So in 1652, he was apparently the person that founded Cape Town as a colony. So thank you for the question. So Cape Town has two cool things that I like. I'm going to share with you. One is at noon there's something called the noon gun, and what it is, essentially every day they have a cannon fire to represent the middle of the day, and they've kept that going as a tradition. So if you're in Cape Town and you hear a boom at 12 o'clock, don't worry. Snazzy Quizzes thinks that Cape Town might be the legislative capital. Is that? I will double check for you. Mr Seagull's not infallible, so I will double check that for you. We've got the cannon fire at midday every day. And the other cool thing is, if you're there in New Year's, we have a great New Year celebration. They have a second New Year celebration, and it's called, if I can get the spelling correct, Kapsa Klopsa. So imagine you've had a great day New Year's on the 1st of January. On the 2nd of January, there's something called Kapsa Klopsa, where there are processions on Cape Town. So it's definitely the place to be if you want amazing New Year celebrations. What a place. Okay, I think we're going to explore the sport. Who wants to explore some sport? I haven't got my sports gear. Normally I've got my sports gear. Who wants to explore some sport? Let's have a look. Okay, so sports are really important for South Africa. It's really important. And the main sports there are rugby, football and cricket. And actually, like our Strictly friends, Oti Mabuse and Motsi Mabuse, dance is very popular there as well. But rugby plays an important part. So you can see that picture there that's Nelson Mandela giving the Rugby World Cup trophy to Francois Pienaar in 1995. And we'll look at it later, we'll look at the national anthem. But this is a symbolic moment, because in 1994, Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. And the Springbok is it's almost like a small, medium-sized gazelle. I mean, I'm trying to do a gazelle impression. Gazelle. They're more elegant than that. But the Springboks was the symbol and the nickname for the rugby team in South Africa. And back then, rugby was predominantly a sport for the white middle classes. So when Nelson Mandela put on the Springbok top and the Springbok cap, in giving the trophy to the World Cup winning team, he was showing, I'm trying to unify the nation. You know, things happened in the past, and we are trying to, we do need to go through truth and reconciliation about that. But let's look forward, and I'm going to wear the Springbok top. So that was a really significant moment in not just South African history, but I think in world history. But the South Africans, they love their football too. And again, maybe for the parents, because for the kids, you're a bit too young. Maybe you weren't even born then. But in 2010, there was the Football World Cup. The Football World Cup. And in the Football World Cup, you would have heard a sound. So they were the vuvuzelas. So vuvuzelas were plastic horns about 60-65 centimeters that were really deafening. And they were used all across the World Cup. And actually, this is where, do you remember I mentioned Johannesburg? So Cape Town is one of the 3 capitals, but Johannesburg is the biggest city. Is the biggest city in South Africa, and is known as Joburg. Some people call it Joburg, not to be confused with iceberg. Joburg, and they had a place called Soccer City, and in Soccer City they played the opening match of the 2010 World Cup. Charlene says she was born there. So let's have a look. So this is not the dance we're learning today, but we're going to see South Africa's first goal in the 2010 World Cup. And we're going to see, listen out for the sounds. You can hear the vuvuzelas. And we'll have a quick go at the dance. This is not our dance for today, but we'll have a quick go at the dance before we actually do our proper dance. So let's have a look at this video. Let's have a look. Can you hear the sound?
What do you say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala!
Wait, have a look. Oh, how does this dance? Wait.
Africa! Jambu Lila! Rejoice!
There we go. So that was South Africa in the 2010 World Cup. And again, they were really excited as a nation to host the Football World Cup for the first time. Okay. So we did that wasn't the dance I wanted to do today, but it was a dance. South Africans love to dance. As I said, it's almost like one of their national sports. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a dance today. We are going to do a dance, of course, and we're going to be looking at this, the Vosho. And the Vosho is all about squatting and kicking. So I know some people at Lisa did PE with Joe Wicks. So you're going to need some of those skills now. And the Vosho is also a head bopping version where you can sort of bop your head around. But we're going to do, let me just see if I can, I'm going to get my outfit for this. There's not really much of an outfit. I'm going to put my cap on. It's going to ruin my hair. My baseball cap. There we go. I've got lots of chalk on me. Okay, so we're going to do the Vosho dance. So are you ready? So you're going to do some squats. We're going to do some squats and kicking, yeah? And you won't be able to see my squats, but you're going to have to take it on word. So are you ready? We're going to have a look at the Vosho dance. Again, let's have a look at what it is. Okay. Ooh, look at that. You got the squats, you got the feet. Ooh. I hope you've been squatting. Yep. Ooh. My God, this is Alfie. How are you finding the squats? So yeah, it's really popular with the young people. So like in TikTok, this is really popular there with memes and stuff. Oh, really working on my glutes here. So the Vosho dance is very popular with the youth in South Africa. And people will have Vosho dance offs. How are you feeling after that Vosho dance? I'm exhausted. We'll come back to the Vosho dance later. Ooh. Joe Wicks would have been proud of us there. Ooh. I'm gonna put the hat back on later. So that's called the Vosho dance. Lots of squatting, lots of kicking, and it's very popular in schools. So if you go to a playground at lunchtime, you may see people doing the squat dance, and how low can you get? Ooh, you're gonna get legs of steel after that. I think it's cool. My knees are absolutely gone. Joe Wicks, if you're ever watching, please give us some tips on squatting and kicking. I need some help. Ooh, I'm absolutely exhausted. Okay. So usually, at this point in the lesson, we have a session where we count in numbers. But South Africa has so many different languages. And the one thing I wanted to talk to you about was the national anthem. The national anthem. And interestingly, South Africa, remember I said it's got 11 different languages. Some of them are Xhosa, Zulu, Sesotho, Afrikaans, English. And the national anthem, they used to have an old version of the anthem. But I think in 1997, they combined it together to make a new one, which actually had a couple of verses from each of the languages. So 5 main languages, they included it. And this is called Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika. Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika. And it means God bless Africa. And they first heard a version of it, actually myself, I remember I was in primary school, so I'm 36 now, 6 squared years old. And when I was in year 5 or year 6, my primary school teacher, so she was a Scottish lady called Mrs Lang, amazing teacher, like Alex Ferguson, the football manager, but a Scottish teacher version. And she grew up in Malawi with her husband, and then she came to England to teach, and she made us really aware of African history. So we learnt the South African national anthem, the words to this song that we're going to see now, and we actually watched the inauguration on television. So all of us gathered together in the hall to watch in 1994 the swearing in of Nelson Mandela as president of South Africa. And again, this shows progress. When we talked about apartheid, and again, I will do a proper lesson looking at apartheid, but today's lesson is more about the geography of the country. But the national anthem reflects that change. So let's have a watch. So in 1995, South Africa hosted the World Cup, and they won the Rugby World Cup. So the Springboks, remember the gazelle, the nickname, the Springboks won. And Nelson Mandela gave the trophy. So have a listen to the national anthem in that period. Have a look. And I'll try and sing along with you. Maybe not very well. Let's have a look. South Africa national anthem. Here we go.
Emotional moment for both teams. South African national anthems.
Afrika, malu pande misu pande wayo, is waimatanze yetu kosi sikelela Amaya, Rosa, my. So that was the South African national anthem being sung during the World Cup final. And again, it was so fitting that they won, and in the end, that Nelson Mandela gave the trophy. And again, so I think it's a unique anthem in the world, which has 5 different languages, reflecting the rainbow nation. Okay, I think it's time for us to go on safari. Safari needs an outfit. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna get my safari shirt on. Don't say that Mr Seagull doesn't get his outfit. Look, have a look. Safari shirt. Thank you. Karina says thank you for my. Yeah. I know the words. Again, thank you, Mrs Lang, if you're out there watching. You inspired me to learn about South Africa. So we watched the whole inauguration. Okay, there we go. Got my cap on. Are you ready to go safari? Are you ready to go safari? Okay, here we go. So it's slightly cut out there, but we're going to be going to Kruger National Park. Kruger National Park. And this is it's called a game reserve. It's called game, not meaning like games, fun and games. Game meaning as in animals. Game reserve. So Kruger National Park. And I'll tell you, Kruger National Park, if you look at that map, you can see it's at the northeast of South Africa. And actually, in terms of size, it's about 20,000 square kilometers. And do you know how big that is? That's pretty much the size of Belgium. Imagine that. A whole national park that's about the size of Belgium. That's absolutely enormous. And in this particular park, it's renowned for the 5 big animals, the 5 games. So people often say there are 5 traditional game animals. And we know them. There's the lion. There's the leopard, speedy leopard. We've got the leopard, the lion, the leopard. We've got the rhino. rhino. I don't know what a rhino does. Then we've got the elephant. And then the final one we have is it's called the Cape buffalo. And don't worry about this list. I'm not going to be testing you on this list. There are things I'll be testing. It's a long list. But the Cape buffalo. So these are the 5 game. And we're going to see some of these animals in our various explorations across the world. We've got the lion, the leopard, the rhino, the elephant, and Cape buffalo. And they're called the Big 5 game. The Big 5 game. And actually, often when people are in South Africa or in East Africa, they go on safari. And again, this is amazing. The word safari just means journey in the one of the native languages, Swahili. So if people say, I'm going on a safari, they literally mean, I'm going on a journey. How cool is that? Safari time. I think it's time for your quiz, isn't it? It's time for your quiz. It's 10 past, it's time for your quiz. So are you ready? Are you ready for your quiz? Okay, let's have a look. Before the quiz, homework. So your homework is one of 3 things. You can either create a poster for the national anthem, because again, the 5 different languages. I'd love to see you identify them for me. Or the second one is draw up to 3 things. It can be 1, up to 3 things you've learned in the class today. Or finally, send your video or photo. So I know Francesca's done videos, Karina's done pictures of the dance. You can actually either do the Bafana dance, or, for example, you could do the Vosho of you doing a squat. So either yours. Okay, are you ready for the quiz? Are you ready for the quiz? Okay, let's have a look. So, which country is completely in South Africa? Charlene's ready. Which country is completely... which country is an enclave of South Africa? That's question number 1. Question number 2. What animal is the nickname of the rugby team? What animal is the nickname of the rugby team? And the third one, what does the word safari mean in Swahili? What does the word safari mean in Swahili? So let's have a look. Put your answers through, and I'm going to have a check to see who feels confident with these answers. Let's have a look. Thomas and Alice, any ideas? Any ideas? What are people coming up with? Let's have a look. Facebook. So Mayuri, let's have a look at question number 1. So Snazzy Quizzes, Mayuri, Oscar, Charlene, Thomas. Correct. So number 1 is Lesotho. Lesotho is an enclave inside South Africa. So question 2, the nickname. Let's have a look. A good few answers here. So Charlene's telling me what type of animal it is. It is a gazelle, but the specific type is Thomas and Alice and Liz. It's a springbok. Springbok is the correct one. And then the safari, I think a lot of us got this. Well done, Oscar, as well. And a safari, let's have a look. Hello Harper, hello Atlanta. Safari means, well done Catherine, well done Lisa, well done Hayden and Charlene and Francesca. It means journey. Well done. Well done. Thank you. Thank you. You've passed the test. You're now allowed to go back from South Africa. Because we've taken a flight there, we're to take a flight back. Okay. So, thoughts of Mr. Seagull. So today's thoughts are going to be this. So I've got my shirt on. Okay, so let's take a quick, well done Karina. So let's take a deep breath. And breathe out. Take a deep breath in. Keep your feet shoulder width apart. Breathe right into the bottom of your lungs and hold it and breathe right out. One more time. Breathe in. Hold it there. And breathe out. Okay. So if you're new, thoughts of Mr. Seagull are positive ideas I have to help you think in a more constructive way. And actually, it's related to today's class. Because after apartheid ended in 1994, there were obviously a lot of people upset about the way they've been treated historically in South Africa. So in South Africa, they're still working on it, but they created something called the Truth and Reconciliation Committees, where people would discuss, come around a table and say, these are the things that you did that caused us great upset and hurt, and how can we go about reconciling that? So actually, we can apply this in our own lives, And I would say, of course, we're human, we make mistakes, we sometimes annoy people, your parents, or your siblings, or your partners, or your teachers, we annoy people, that's just humans. But the key thing is to learn to forgive. And the reason is, you know, like sometimes you've had an argument with someone and then you go to bed and you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I feel really annoyed. Why was I annoyed with them? Of course, we get annoyed at things. That's human. But if you can learn to forgive someone very quickly, it can help overcome barriers. So don't be bitter. It's easy to become bitter, but forgiveness, be forgiving. Because if you're forgiving, the other person will go, oh, they're forgiving me. I should maybe apologize too. So actually, I think reconciliation and forgiveness are such important values. So maybe the next time that you have an argument with someone, of course, argue away, discuss what your issue is, but afterwards, don't just stew over it. Don't like go, oh, I'm really annoyed at them, and be annoyed for days and weeks. Try and learn to forgive. So that's thoughts of Mr. Seagull. Hello, Julianne. Hello, Julianne, joining on Instagram. Okay, so I wanted to show you before, we've only got a few minutes left, Mr Seagull's Genius Adventures, which one of my friends on Instagram just joining me was one of our wonderful scientific advisors, helpers, producers as it were. It's still on BBC iPlayer and it's on Mondays at 7:30 in the morning on repeat. But I want to show you a scene from series 1 which I quite enjoyed. Let's have a look. If I can find it here. Here we...
I think this calls for a selfie, yeah? Here we are.
Yes.
Here begins the great journey of Mr Seagull. Woohoo!
So boys and girls, that was the North American trailer. So if you've watched Mr Seagull in Britain, it's quite a fun, gentle, relaxing program. But in America, you know, they needed to hype it up, so they put some like funky and drums. So it's a very different vibe. But that's the North American version. So Mr Seagull are going international. Okay, so my schedule, as again, football tomorrow. History, bear in mind history is at 11:15, so don't turn up at 10:45. It's at 11:15 on the Thursday, and my family quiz on Saturday. And I know that I've been doing maths before, but Mondays I tend to have lots of interviews at the moment for some reason. So hopefully when I'm not busy on a Monday, we'll carry on with that. One final thing before we go back to the dance for today is, so if you're interested, tonight on my YouTube channel, I am doing a quiz with Tommy, my brother. So if you missed Tommy did do one of the quizzes before. He's back for one night only. Tommy Seagull's here with me, my younger brother. And we're having something called the Newham quiz. And if you're thinking, I don't know anything about Newham, I make things accessible. So the quiz has music round, pictures round, charades. 2 people in charades, a sing-along. So do come along if you want. It's from 6 o'clock, probably to about 7. If you want an evening of fun with Mr. Seagull and Mr. Seagull's younger brother Tommy. So come along at 6 o'clock. So someone's saying, where can they watch the first series? To be honest, I don't think it's on iPlayer right now. I think you might need to do, you know, that some people like search for like downloads of it. To be honest, I don't know officially where series 1 is, unfortunately. But you might do some googling, Mr Seagull series 1. Okay, so we are going to end up again on the Vosho dance. Remember the one with squatting and kicking? So thank you so much. I've had a great class today. So can you, if you enjoyed the class, again, tell your primary school. I know a few of you have done so. Tell your primary school, maybe tell the teachers, tell them to join in, because I'd love more of you to join in. Again, homework at Bobby_Seagull on Twitter, on Instagram, send it on Facebook. We love to see what you're doing. So we're going to end off. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin Hodgson says he's going to join in the quiz. 6 o'clock, so a bit of fun. Tommy and I also talk a bit about our background, growing up in East London. So you hear a bit about my story as well. So it'll be a fun evening. Thank you, all of you, for joining today. So it's time for our Voshos. Thank you, Instagram. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Snazzy Quizzes. Thank you, Charlene, Lisa, Mayuri, Oscar, Francesca, Richard. Thank you all for joining in. And it's time to end on our Vosho dance. Thank you, Liz. Where is our Vosho dance? Oh, look, you got my cap. And you got the right t-shirt today. Come on. Come on. Oh, look at that. Come Come on, Vosho dance. Thank you, Ella. Thank you, Martha. I'm so going to be doing this in school when we open up back again. Thank you, Martha. So that's the Vosho, and that's Mr Seagull's geography class. Thank you so much for joining in, and you can keep squatting away all day if you want. Oh, look at that! So thank you so much. This has been Mr Seagull's geography class. I'm back on Thursday 11:15, and also you're welcome to join my family quiz at 6 o'clock on my YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. So see you all, lots of love, and keep on Voshoing away.